I'm Caroline Fenton with Yahoo Sports, and we heard from Minnesota Lynx star and league MVP runner-up Napheesa Collier in her exit interviews on Tuesday afternoon. She had some pretty damning statements about the league, calling for change. So let's read her statement and break it all down. We'll start from the top. Napheesa Collier is started by saying, "I'd like to congratulate the Phoenix Mercury for advancing to the finals. And I want to be clear, this conversation is not about winning or losing. It's about something much bigger. The real threat to our league isn't money. It isn't ratings or even missed calls or even physical play." I think it's important that Napheesa Collier put that out there, started her statement essentially by saying, hey, look, this isn't sour grapes. We got beat fair and square by the Phoenix Mercury, but sometimes there are things in life that are bigger than winning and losing games. Right now, the league is at an incredibly critical point. And now that is more important than the wins and loss column. But I'll continue. Napheesa Collier says, quote, "The biggest threat to our league is lack of accountability from the league office. Since I've been in the league, you've heard the constant concerns about officiating, and it has now reached levels of inconsistency that plague our sport and undermine the integrity in which it operates. Whether the league cares about the health of the players is one thing, but to also not care about the product we put on the floor is truly self-sabotage. Year after year, the only thing that remains consistent is a lack of accountability from our leaders." One thing I don't want to let go overlooked in this portion of her statement is the fact that Napheesa Collier is even alluding to the fact that she feels, and maybe even the league feels, like the league office doesn't care about player health or safety. That, I think, is incredibly glaring and is incredibly concerning for the league moving forward. The second thing is she brings up lack of consistency in officiating. This has been a concern and an issue in the league over the last couple of years. We saw it last year and the beginning of this year that Caitlin Clark maybe wasn't getting as quick of a whistle or as much of a whistle as some other players in the league. We're seeing it this season. And the refs are swallowing their whistle far too much. Becky Hammon even said, look, I've got assistant coaches that came from the NBA. They said what they're doing in the W would never fly in the NBA. So what Napheesa Collier is saying is, why is it flying in our league? She continues and says the league has a buzzword that they've rolled out as talking points for the CBA as to why they can't pay the players what we're worth. That word is sustainability. Quick thought there before I move on from Fee's statement. How dare Cathy Engelbert in the league office say that the popularity, the money, the investment, the eyeballs that these players have earned on their sport isn't sustainable when they are the ones who have done it? Isn't that the job of the commissioner in the league office to ensure that that growth is sustained? Not even just sustained, but that growth continues? Isn't that Cathy Engelbert's job? Napheesa Collier continues. She says, quote, "What's truly unsustainable is keeping a good product on the floor while allowing officials to lose control of games. Fans see it every night. Coaches, both winning and losing, point it out every night in pregame and postgame media, yet leadership just issues fines and looks the other way. They ignore the issues that everyone inside the game is begging to be fixed." Cheryl Reeve, the head coach, and unquote there, Cheryl Reeve, the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx, was fined $15,000 for her quotes and her statements on a change in leadership and officiating in the league. Becky Hammon, head coach of the Las Vegas Aces, who is still currently coaching, agreed with her. Becky Hammon said, if we do the things that we're doing on the court, on the street, we'd be arrested. Stephanie White, head coach of the Indiana Fever, agreed as well. We've seen several players get fined for some of their comments on officiating in the league. Sophie Cunningham was fined on her first several episodes of her podcast for pointing out very fair critiques of league officiating. At some point, wouldn't you think the league starts to look into some of these critiques and these complaints rather than just slapping fines on their players and their coaches with the largest platforms in this league? I'll continue. This past February, I sat across from Cathy Engelbert and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her response was, well, quote, "Only the losers complain about the refs." Wow. She also continues and says, I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Bueckers, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, quote, Caitlin should be grateful that she makes $16 million off the court because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. Now, let the record show. Caitlin Clark signed deals with Nike, Buick, State Farm, and Gatorade while she was still wearing an Iowa uniform. She signed massive multi-million-dollar endorsement deals before she even got drafted into the WNBA. It is comical for Cathy Engelbert to believe that the WNBA is doing more favors to Caitlin Clark, more than Caitlin Clark is doing favors for the WNBA. Napheesa Collier's statement continues. She says, quote, we go to battle every day to protect a shield that doesn't value us. The league believes it succeeds despite its players, not because of them. She continues and says, quote, we have the best players in the world. We have the best fans in the world. But right now, we have the worst leadership in the world. We serve a league that has shown they think championship coaches and Hall of Fame players are dispensable. Now, I don't know if that is in fact how the league office feels. But I don't know if it matters if that's in fact how the league office feels. I think what matters here is that's how the players feel the league office feels. I view Napheesa Collier as a spokesperson, an advocate, and a champion for this league. When Napheesa Collier was reading her statement, she's not just speaking for herself. She's speaking for all of the players in this league. And if all of the players in this league feel like Napheesa Collier just said they might feel, dispensable, dismissive, how are we supposed to expect this league can grow? How do we expect this league can be healthy if the players who put their body on the line and have designated their lives to representing this league and they don't feel appreciated? Of course, the growth of this league won't be sustainable. The exact fear of Cathy Engelbert in the WNBA league office. Napheesa Collier goes on to say that she didn't receive a single text or a phone call from Cathy Engelbert, even though she got several texts and phone calls from players and coaches across the league following her injury. In fact, the only thing that she did get was a message from Cathy Engelbert's right-hand person to Napheesa Collier's agent that she doesn't believe physical play is contributing to injuries. You don't? Because it seems pretty obvious. And even if it doesn't, Cathy Engelbert needs to listen to the players and the coaches that are employed by her league. It's not good leadership when you don't listen to the people you are leading. I will not be surprised if we look back on what Napheesa Collier said on Tuesday, in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, as one of the most pivotal, if not the most pivotal time in the WNBA. Now, it's in the league's hands. How do they want to proceed? Because if you haven't been listening to your coaches and your players yet, now might be the time. And we'll continue to break down everything that Napheesa Collier had to say on Yahoo Sports Daily and Hoops 360. You can find those on yahoosports.tv, wherever you get your podcasts, and the Yahoo Sports YouTube page.